So to begin with, I'd like to give a brief introduction of SUPRA. Since you can see the logo here, you may ask who we are and why we care about university postgraduate students. So the first question, who we are. SUPRA has been run for postgraduate students for about 50 years. We are founded in 1970. It's already 50 years, which is one of the oldest association in the University of Sydney. And we aim to provide support and advocacy to postgraduate students in the form of social events, campaigns, and projects to improve conditions for postgrads and representation of student issues to the universities through participation in every university committee, including academic board, research education committee, and we are everywhere. We can cover all your research life and your daily life. And all our activities, including the social events and the sports activities, they are all free to our members. And our services are professional and confidential. No matter what you need on campus or in your daily life, if you need any help, SUPRA is always with you. So the question is why we care. The answer is quite simple and straightforward. So as you can see in the video, in the previous video, our primary principle is students working for students. Basically, SUPRA is run by a democratically elected council members. These members are all postgraduate students, and the elections are held every year between March and May. And all SUPRA members can vote in the elections, as well as nominate yourself or others to run in elections to join the SUPRA council. Every postgraduate student is welcome to join us. Well, just some basic facts and background about SUPRA and today's online welcome session. Let's go into some real stuff. So today, 4 aspects will be covered in the online session. The first one is enriched HDR experience. So how can we get connected with the HDR community? And this part is shared by Maruge Zhao, who is also a PhD student in economics. And the following session is some tips for our HDR students, including the progress evaluation and particularly during this COVID-19 pandemic, you may ask for some leaves or sick leave or different kinds of leaves. This will all be covered in the section 2, which is shared by Di Wang. And in the third part, I will talk something. Yes, Di Wang just greeting while his camera in the gallery view. Yeah, and next, myself, Igor Peng, I will share I'll talk about some well-being issues of HDR students and how, if you really need some help, and what you can do and who can help. And the following section is HDR advocacy. You will see how SUPRA are getting involved in making our HDR life as easy as possible. And last but not least, we have also one more great talk, not sure in these slides, but we have successfully invited one of our staff members from SUPRA, Real Luck, who was also a PhD student at University of Sydney, and now he has become a staff member in the SUPRA office. He will share something from an experienced staff perspective, like how SUPRA can actually help HDR students in some legal service or your daily life. And one more thing. So at the end of this welcome session, please feel free to leave your signature here. It can be some drawings or some symbols or how you feel about this session, and any comments are welcome. Anything is appreciated. We will also show this signature wall in our social media.
Welcome to the University of Sydney, and thank you for coming to the session. My name is Maruge Zhao. You can also call me April. I'm a third-year PhD student in economics, and today I'm just here to introduce the various activities SUPRA hold on campus, and we can all participate. So. First of all, I feel like these activities are very important for, especially for HDR students, because like myself, as a PhD student, we don't have many classes to attend, and most of the time we just do research on our own, right? So during my first year, I really feel like I only meet my supervisor, that's all. Because my department, School of Economics, it is a very big department, but we have very few PhD students, and we don't get to see each other a lot at all. So this kind of situation sometimes happens, and I sometimes feel isolated. So SUPRA provides this wonderful opportunity for us to know and meet friends from all different disciplines and participate in all of the fun events. Okay, so let's have a look. What do SUPRA offer? First of all, we hold a series of events where we just give you a chance to meet friends, make new friends, and we offer free food and drink. For example, this welcome party, usually we hold it at the beginning of each semester, but in the last semester, it was not possible due to the COVID pandemic, unfortunately, but we're looking forward to hold the next welcome party. They're usually very popular, and we ask senior students to come to the party to answer questions from the new students. We also hold regularly the wine and cheese event every month. So once a month, we give you the free food and the free drink where you can just have fun and meet new friends. We sometimes do some little fun games where you can team up with others and win some extra prize. Okay. Thirdly, we have the free lunch. So we literally just give out free lunch once a month usually outside of a facial library. So usually we give a sandwich, and as long as you are a member of SUPRA, you can just come and grab a free lunch. Okay. Here are some pictures from our events. In the middle, that's our wine and cheese. We usually have pizza, and we offer free drinks. And on the bottom, that's a free lunch. Even during the COVID pandemic, we tried to give out free lunch, and all of our staff and volunteers were wearing facial masks. Secondly, it is also very important to keep our research students physically active. So we also offer a series of events like hiking. We usually do it once a month, and we go to all different spots. Sometimes we do like coastal walking, sometimes in the Blue Mountains. So it's usually like 2 to 4 hours long hiking. And again, you'll meet with different people, and you can like work as long as and talk at the same time. We also hold gym classes. For every week, we offer free gym classes. Last year, we did like yoga, climbing, and this year I'm gonna show you the poster. We also have these classes each week. So usually to use the gym and attend their classes, you need to buy the membership, but with the SUPRA, we have this free chance. Okay, as long as you register and get a ticket from SUPRA, everything is free. We also hold basketball competition once a year, so where you can bring your friends, team up, and get some prize. Here again, these are just some pictures from our physical activities, climbing, and we have the basketball. We have this yoga classes and hikings. Here, I especially want to mention our gym classes because we stopped a little bit during the COVID pandemic, but now we start this event again. So next semester, this coming semester, for every week we have rock climbing classes, and we also have the virtual cycling classes, so twice a week. All of the tickets will be given out on Facebook, so please follow us and you can enjoy all of these free classes. Besides these regular events, we also try to do more things for HDR students. For example, we hold this HDR barbecue where we had more than 200 students coming to the barbecue. And we're planning to do more of these events. So we give HDR students more chance to meet our fellow research students and from different disciplines. I found it is very helpful sometimes to talk to people from different disciplines. Gonna be very helpful for your own research as well, because it just help you to explain your research to someone who may not know it very well, but they're interested. So it really helps you to clear your thoughts. It is also our responsibility to connect the school and our student. So we do this Teacher of the Year and Supervisor of the Year competition once a year, where this will be student nominated and student judged competition. So the Supervisor of the Year is more relevant to HDR students, where the students can just fill out the nomination form, give examples of how their supervisor is helping them with their PhD work. And we will have a group of HDR students being the judges. And finally, we will have the Supervisor of the Year, usually a couple of people from each department. It has been a great motivation for both our PhD students and their supervisor to communicate more and do better towards their PhD process. So it has been a very good event. Except all of those above regular events, we also Supra always step out wherever we're needed. So for example, calling for the fair wage, or during the COVID pandemic, we try our best to help our students. During COVID, we have given out a lot of thousands of facial masks or hand sanitizer and some mental support for our students. So always look for Supra if you feel you need our help. So all of our events, we usually the spots are limited. For example, the wine and cheese or the gym classes. So you have to follow our social medias like Facebook, or we also have a WeChat assistant where all of those information will be given, like the date or the way to get the ticket, and then you can just enjoy all of the free and fun events. Okay, here are some QR code. So if you use your WeChat or just your camera on the phone to scan them, you will be able to find our page on Instagram and Facebook, and also our account on WeChat. Okay, thank you all again, and please let me know if you have any questions towards any of our activities.
Oh, hi everyone, I'm a third-year PhD student from the science faculty, and I'm doing the astronomy. I'm also the education officer of Supra. So today I'm really glad to be here, and I will give you a brief introduction of let's do it like this way, of the research supervision and the research progress, and what kind of leaves you can ask in your research path. I know maybe many of us it's the first time to be a PhD. Then we got nervous. We don't know how to get started. But please don't worry. Like Supra, we have a lot of like caseworkers. We have a lot of PhD peers who can help you to get you along well. So let's get started. First, let's have a brief introduction of the research supervision. So the research supervision policy, you can find the policies on the website, but here are some points like you need to know before you start your PhD. So you're required to have at least one lead supervisor or one or more supervisors. And your lead supervisor mentors you, your overall progress and coordinates your overall supervision. I want you to know like your supervisor doesn't only mentors you on your research, but he should also cares about your life, your experience. So your supervisor supports you to produce the research of the highest quality, as well as offer advice, guidance, and also provide you feedback, encouragement, and support. Here are some advice for you to communicate with your supervisor. So probably we should establish a communication plan, and we can discuss our research progress, and we will have regular meetings. So by myself, I meet my supervisor weekly, and we have like there's 1 hour in his timetable and in my timetable, and it's logged. So we meet regularly, and I communicate really well with my supervisor. But in some case, if your supervisor doesn't really support you, or you kind of like, you know, you argue with your supervisor, like you want to change your supervisor and you want some professional advice, that's what you can ask for SUPRA for professional advice. We have SUPRA caseworkers can give you advice case by case. And next one, each year we will have our research progress, like annual progress evaluation, and it was previously called a progress review. To make everything easier, and we will just use progress review later. And your supervisors may be like more familiar with progress review rather than progress evaluation. So the purpose of the progress review is to see whether the students has adequate support and resources, whether the current supervisory arrangements are satisfactory, and assess the feasibility of the progress plan and rate students' progress. And the progress review policy you can also find online in the uni website. The progress review has 2 parts. One part is you need to fill in an online form, and another is an interview. So for the online form, school will contact you by your uni email. Then it will provide you a link, and you just use the link and complete the form, put all your informations, and upload supporting documents. The supporting documents usually your progress plan, your thesis abstract, your research proposal, literature review, etc. And after completing your online form, you will have an interview with a panel of academic staff. And students may be accompanied the progress review meeting by a support person, but that's totally by your choice. So there will be 3 evaluation results out of the progress review. The first one, which is meets exceeds objectives, which you did really well. Like your progress is good, you're on track. The second one is marginal progress, which means you may kind of like think about it, how to improve your progress. And the third is unsatisfactory progress. Don't be too nervous if you get unsatisfactory progress. Like if you receive marginal or unsatisfactory progress, you can appeal the outcome. And SUPRA, we have caseworkers, like if you book an appointment with our caseworkers, they can give you some advice on how to appeal the outcome. And I will give you some personal like tips, like please don't be too nervous about the progress review. The only aim for the progress review is to make sure like you are in the good process, in the good progress and you're on track. If you're not, maybe just to have a discussion with your supervisor and to have a better PhD path. And usually the panel members, they are really nice and supportive. So don't be nervous speaking with them. the last but not the least, like we may ask a lot of leave, not maybe a lot of, but like this is a special year, especially last year. So you may want to know what kind of leave you can ask in your research life. So there are 4 types of leave. And the first one is a leave of absence. The second, suspension. Third, parental leave, recreational leave. And the fourth, counting time away. So I will look into these 4 types a little bit in detail. So for the leave of absence, so this one is usually for personal reasons or illness. And it usually less than a full research period. So, and this one won't change your latest submission dates. So you have your submission dates in your offer, and this won't change. But the second one will change, which is suspension. So you usually suspend your study 1 full research period or longer. But please remember, the maximum suspension is 1 year. So make sure you don't suspend your study longer than 1 year. And if you suspend, that will delay your earliest and latest thesis submission dates. The third one is parental leave and recreational leave. So for the scholarship holders, you have paid leave for the maternity leave, sick leave, and recreational leave. You just need to ask your supervisor for it. The last one is counting time away. So this one is you may complete part of your work off campus within Australia or overseas. Your enrollment will continue during this time away, which means that won't change your latest submission date. And yeah, now I'm overseas, and I asked for suspension and counting time away from now. And those are really easy to apply. You just need to speak with your supervisors, get and put the applications in the My Student website. I know this might be too much information for you to remember, but please don't be worried. So this is the HDR guide, which is written by SUPRA caseworkers. And if you go to the SUPRA website, it's really easy to find the HDR guide. You don't need to read this in details, but just keep this in mind. You can search anything, anytime when you're free. So as I mentioned, if you have some problems with your supervisors, or you disagree with your outcome of the progress review, you can make an appointment with SUPRA caseworkers. And you can hear more from Shuri from the last session. So that's all from me. And again, this is our Facebook account, Instagram, WeChat Assistant, and WeChat official account. And all our membership is free. Please join our membership, and all these events is yours. So that's all from me. Please ask me any questions if you have. If no, maybe I will just let Igor to take.
So in this session, I would like to share some strategies or suggestions on maintaining your well-being throughout the HDR candidature, as well as how SUPRA is actively engaged in keeping both HDR students and the community as healthy as possible. And here is this session's agenda, and including what is well-being and some common well-being issues we may suffer from during the HDR candidature. And so what is well-being? It is just like the comic. Have you ever thought about doing an HDR degree means you will not able to have time to enjoy your daily life, and working hard for graduation is the only option that you can do? Or of course, this is not a one or the other problem. We SUPRA truly hope every HDR student could obtain their successful academic life. Meanwhile, will maintain their own well-being issues, including the mental health and also the physical health. And in short, well-being could be described as how you feel about yourself and how your life. And complete wellness is, of course, not realistic, and no one is ever completely well or unwell. Trying to achieve a balance of these 4 factors shown here is the best way of obtaining optimal well-being. So the question is how to do it, and how SUPRA can actually help. So the first most common issue is isolation. Personally, I think doing research is similar to running a long race to some degrees, and it is hard to monitor the progress, and most of the work is done in isolation, especially when you are in a relatively small research group, don't have any peers or colleagues within, can easily make you feel lonely. And also, if you are an international student who just come to Australia, isolation could be a problem. But actually, this problem is the easiest one to deal with, I think. So first, the first suggestion is to keep up to date while the eGrad. For now, it has changed its name into Postgrad, which is SUPRA's weekly newsletter. We will keep you updated what is happening in our campus and all the kinds of different activities and news in the University of Sydney. And then you can, with this information, you can easily join our great events as introduced by Maruge. So also, if you are not interested in the existing events, such as wine and cheese or free lunch, you are always welcome to come to our office and have a talk with our council members. We are always happy to hear any ideas you have about building our community and to enhance the connection within our HDR communities. Just come to us and get rid of your isolation. SUPRA is always be here with you. And the other issue could be stress. I guess, of course, there is no doubt that doing research can be very stressful. Studies have shown that the majority of HDR students will experience a significant mental health issue, or even during their over half to 2/3 of PhD candidates experience psychological distress, and around 1/3 are at risk of a common disorder. So this kind of thing sounds really scary, but I think there's these outcomes can be anxiety, depression, and substance abuse or cardiovascular disease. The longer we feel stress and the greater demand on our body physically and mentally. So how can we manage our stress? At the beginning, I think all of us will try to maintain ourselves, try to relax, or spend some time with our friends, spend some time with the people we care, do activities you enjoy or you really like, such as play video games or just hang out or have some drink. I know it's always easier to say than to do it. If you feel you cannot control yourself, there are free and confidential individual counseling services on our campus, provided by counseling and psychological service, which is short for CAPS. In addition, you can also come to SUPRA and chat with a student advice and advocacy officer to figure out what you might want to do and what you may need, or assist you to seek for appropriate support. I think these are something you can really do to help to release your stress. And the next one is harassment, bullying, and discrimination, and some potential issues that we wish they will never happen to you. In Australia, there are certain laws that apply to harassment, discrimination, and bullying. Here, I will generally clarify what circumstances and behaviors are the law against harassment, discrimination, and bullying applies in New South Wales. So there are 5 main areas of public life: employment, purchasing most type of good or service, applying for entry or enrolling in a public education institution, including university, renting accommodation such as units, houses, or apartment, even a hotel room. And the last circumstance is join or engage in activities in a registered club. And here are some behaviors that are regarded as part of harassment and bullying and the discriminations, which can be sexual in nature, or it can be behaviors that targets the person on one or more of these grounds: gender, identity, disability, or age, pregnancy, and so on. If such things unfortunately happen to you, please be brave. It's always best to seek for professional advice first, then make a complaint if necessary. For new international students, it's common that you may not know what to do, or you are afraid of taking the very first step to protect yourself. And the SUPRA can also provide free confidential professional service in relation to making a complaint of unlawful harassment or discrimination, or in regard to bullying. SUPRA is always here to back you up. And the other common issue, imposter syndrome, is also a common well-being issue. It is characterized as a psychological pattern in which one doubts one's accomplishments and has a perceptual fear of being exposed as a fraud. Sometimes perfectionism can be linked with imposter syndrome, when you want to be special or the very best. Here are several strategies. I hope it can help. So the first one is try not to think of academia as a competition. Remember why you wanted to conduct the research in your area of interest. Your primary objective was probably not about winning. Similarly, do not spend much time comparing yourself to your peers' academic profile. And remember that it's okay to talk to other people. Many HDR students found that having a supportive group of fellow students who are going through a similar experience help them going through the whole HDR candidature. And in addition, develop a loose plan B, even plan C, finding other things that you can do with your career after your degree can take the stress off, not being good enough right now. And you might also find other things to look forward to after your degree is completed. And moreover, keep some interesting stuff at your workplace. A list of inspiring quotes or images or memes can be helpful when you are struggling in your research. You could also try to download some apps that automatically send you motivational quotes. It could be helpful. And last but not least, retaining interests outside research is quite important. Try to regularly do something completely unrelated to your research, such as taking our virtual gym classes. You can, or join our hiking activities. Sometimes these kind of things can take you out of your head, such as remember there are a huge number of social works out there that won't judge you based on your research. Your research is not your entire life. And the other issue is procrastination. I think it's quite common, and I also suffer from this all the time. The cycle on the right clearly explains how it influences us, at least me. When I consider sitting down to begin study, I want to clear my mind first so as to focus on my research and negative thoughts and uncomfortable feelings. Then I feel like to do something else to control them, which are always entertaining and easy to kill time. Afterwards, I will be regret and feel like to study with increased stress. What a perfect circle here. But we really have to overcome this if we wanted to achieve academic, at least graduate from our PhD or MPhil degree. Here are some practical steps or strategies. So write a to-do list first and break down the big task into manageable components. And feel free to make a weekly or daily schedule of all the tasks you have been putting off. Try to working on them as soon as possible. And identify a different strategy when you can't get things done. So I think that's all for my part, and thanks for your attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Cool. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shuray. I am a third-year PhD at the School of Chemistry, so Faculty of Science as well. So I was fortunate to be a student volunteer with SUPRA in 2020 and sat on a few governance committee. And today Igor has invited me to share a little bit of my experience on that. So this is how we can make a change to the university, how we can affect how this university operates, and how we can sort of asking for the fair treatment that we deserved. So in the next 10 minutes or so, I want to talk through this. So first of all, why should we care? Second of all, what are the university policies and procedures that's specifically relevant to HDR? And then third is the most important, what can we do about them? And fourth is how to reach out, how to find support, and how to find us. Yeah, so first of all, welcome to research. I imagine all of us doing the HDR is not really for the salaries. So as you can see here, grad students in the United States is literally having about 1/10 of a football coach. So clearly we're not here for the money. So the sole purpose of us starting a HDR degree is to be called the doctor, which is a Doctor Who joke if you know the reference. But in general, my point is that we, by taking on HDR, are already sort of trying to solve the hardest question or challenges the world has facing. So there should be no good reason why the university should make our life harder than it needs to be. So that's what student advocacy comes in, that we should voice ourselves and let the university know that what we really need and how they can better support our studies and research. Cool. So I'll just quickly go through a few of the main areas that's relevant to us. So the first one is supervision. As previous presenters have pointed out, supervisor is very important in HDR, and your interaction with your supervisor is vital, if not the most important factor that governs your experience. Supervision policies, it's not just, some people high up in the university came up with the policy and imposed on all HDRs. It's actually a very sort of thoughtful process that involves HDR representatives to go through. Last year we had a major change in the supervision policy, in particularly focusing on how to sort of appeal, how the students, how can us change supervisor or raise concerns. And there was a particular change around the progress evaluation or progress review. So this was done by a series of governance committee, which we all have student representatives, well, SUPRA all have student representatives sitting on. As example, Dee, myself, as well as Rebecca, Emma, were all involved in this discussion. So finally, it's very good to see that they have published a new supervision policy towards mid last year, which is a much more student focused than the previous 2015 version. The next bit is finances. So this one gets a bit tricky. University every year gets a fixed amount of funding from government, and also they have their own budgets to award to HDR support to support our research and studies. So because we are directly there's a conflict of interest between students and sort of awarding of scholarships. So we can't really get directly involved in scholarship allocation. However, there are student representatives on policy committees that governs the allocation or sort of approves the scholarship schemes, which will impact many of our experiences. So that's the aspect that we can have a say on. Again, that's through becoming a student representative on some of the very important governance committees. Progress evaluation, or previously known as progress review. So like Dee and Iga has pointed out, it's one of the main requirements university has imposed on us in order to be qualified for your degree. So the first year progress evaluation, it's called the probational evaluation, which is a bit more serious than than your second and third year ones. But like they have correctly pointed out, don't be too too stressful about it. You should be able to access plenty of support to prepare for your progress evaluation. So if you're admitted to your degree around this time of the year, then the first evaluation you'll be looking at is probably December. Each faculty and school is slightly different, but around that time, and like I said, like they pointed out, there will be 2 academics, which is not your supervisor on the panel, and then they will talk you through your progress, your problems, have you received enough support, how your communication going with your supervisor, etc., etc. So don't take this as an interview that people are assessing you. This is also an excellent platform for you to report any issue. So for example, you can raise to the school or the faculty that you're in saying that, oh, I really wanted to do this, and sort of this is why I started my PhD or signed up to a PhD or master degree. However, the school doesn't really have the capacity. So now, like in a sense, you can push the blame back onto them and tell them, you really need to support me for my study. So this is an excellent platform. Apart from that, what else I was going to say? Oh yes, and currently we are the progress evaluations. It's becoming integrated into our new HDR support system, which is called REX. I think it's Research Education something system, which is, I think the graduate study committee is currently in the process of rolling out. So we'll be soon migrating into a new system, and that should be integrated into one sort of platform. So it's much easier for everyone to monitor that. Cool. And examination, yes, so last year there was another major change to the examination policy. So this is the last stage of your degree, which is the submission of thesis as well as a presentation, but I think you said is optional. Not sure, don't quote me on that. And the thesis and examination policy, so the major change was that we were able to push through is that we eliminated one extra external examiner. So previously we were required to have 3, I believe. Now we only need 2, which is a great news. So that should accelerate the examination process a lot faster, because you essentially eliminated 33% of the examination process. And also, I think the thesis examination policy now is a little bit more focused on the presentation aspect of the final body of work. So especially for people in arts, the performances, the body of work that they deliver is now considered more fairly compared to, you know, the old classic way of writing a 200-page thesis. So, yep, and here's another body of work that's just an example of what we can do. So in the extreme cases that we're really unhappy about something, which in this scenario is the COVID response by the university, we can directly write letters to the Vice Chancellor's office. And we did receive a very formal and open response within weeks. So the university actually do take us very seriously. So, that statement in a sense is a bit sad. We have to be grateful to that, but also it's a good news that someone's listening up there. So in extreme cases, when the same problem is experienced by a lot of people, we can, SUPRA as well as student representatives has the ability to draft such letters and directly send it towards the very top of the management. And let's come back to this. And as an outcome of this letter, there was actually a new scholarship scheme announced, but I mean, it's not great. It doesn't really offer support to all HDR, but it definitely does help the most needed part of the HDR cohort. So that was a very great outcome of this. And finally, the last example I want to show you, it's the 13-week teaching semester. So now we're doing research. It may not seem too much to you, but thinking about all the jobs that's been cut, think about all the and especially if you're doing teaching assistant jobs, when undergraduate semester is being squashed into 12 weeks, it's actually generating a lot more stress, a lot more work for you as a TA. So that was also another great news, that through open voting on the academic board, that students were able to sort of shoot down the idea of having a permanent 12-week teaching semester. So now we restored back to 13-week for 2021 semester 1. And the last tip of the day, which is pretty much don't panic, enjoy your first year. PhD or master by research may sound a lot, but if you can maintain a constant communication with your supervisor, and we are all out here to help you. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, pretty sure you'll have a great experience at UCIT. And at the end, before I finish off, I just want to touch on one more thing. So in order to escalate any issue, the first point of contact is to your supervisor. And if your supervisor is the problem or part of the problem, then the first point of contact is the postgraduate coordinator within your school. And then if that doesn't solve the problem, the next level is to reach out to the research education associate dean of your faculty. And meanwhile, you can start reaching out to SUPRA. We will try our best to help you. So in general, that's the general way of raising issues or concerns regarding your degree. Cool. Now I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Cool. So at SUPRA, we have 2 services. We're professional paid staff, and this is our jobs. So we have the casework service. It was previously called the Student Advice and Advocacy Service, but we changed the name because it was a bit of a mouthful. And so we can help you with a whole bunch of different stuff. We can help you with academic research and non-academic things. So things we get a lot of are academic appeals, academic dishonesty. With research students, we get things like issues with supervisors. We get appealing your progress evaluation. We also get a lot of scholarship inquiries. In terms of non-academic inquiries, we get anything from tenancy, welfare, if you want to make a complaint against the university or in the context of university, we help with that. We pretty much help with anything that a postgraduate student will come to us and ask us to give them a hand, even if we're not entirely sure how to go about addressing the issue in particular. We'll help you figure that out. Yeah, so we do a whole bunch of different stuff. We do a variety of things in that. We do reviewing of letters, reviewing of show causes, you know, any appealing. We can attend meetings as a support person. We could just generally have a conversation about what's happening and find strategies to deal with whatever is going on. Yeah, things with supervisors are kind of case in point. There might not be anything official that you want to do about it, but we can talk about strategies to, I believe the term is manage your supervisor, which I learned a lot about during my PhD. And so generally what happens is that, yeah, you contact SUPRA, there's a form online that you fill out and you'll be allocated, depending on your issue, a caseworker. Or if your issue is more legal, where has my mouse gone? There it is. Oh, for the love of God. Sorry, my PowerPoint is having a lot of feelings today. We also have a second service, which is our legal service. So we have 2 lawyers and registered migration agents. They are both of those things, and they will do anything from consumer complaints, car accidents, workplace contracts, migration and visa, intellectual property. We get a lot of that for HDR students in particular, kind of anything legal related. They will help you out. Both services are free. We're professional, confidential, good services to have. Free. Did I say free? I'll say free again. Yes, the way that you get in contact is that at the moment there's a web form. You can also contact us via email, but the web form's a bit easier because you just register and kind of have that sorted out. And then, yeah, you'll be allocated a caseworker or a migration agent / lawyer, depending on your situation. So at the moment, because of COVID, we're closed to face-to-face, but we are providing Zoom, phone, and email advice. So even if you're not in the country, that's totally fine. We just kind of figure out how that works best for everyone. And yeah, we generally get back to you within, we say 48 hours. Usually it's within like a couple of hours. So we constantly get students talking about how prompt we are. But when it's busy, sometimes it can take a little bit longer if we have to do research before we get in contact. Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was we have something on the website which actually has a ridiculous amount of information. And if you ever want to get in contact with SUPRA or the legal service, but more so the casework service, I strongly recommend just checking out the website first, because there's actually a lot of information there that is very accessible. Anything HDR, it's there. We update it every year, sometimes twice a year. If there's anything recent that's changed, we update that as well. So it's a really good place to get a lot of information. We're actually in the process of developing a HDR hub. So we have a lot of information there on the website already that's HDR specific, but we're starting to develop a HDR hub and seeing how we can support the HDR community through the website in more tailored ways. And the other thing is there's a pretty good postgraduate calendar, which I'm pretty sure we're still sending out for free. So if you want a free calendar, it's got all the dates, the university dates, like census dates, research periods, exams, which may not be relevant for you guys, but might be if you're going to be teaching. Yeah, so go on the website, you can get that. It's pretty good. I have one. It's